Good afternoon, everyone. You are here for Gmail Power Play session. And for those of you that don't know me, it's Bond, Virginia Bond, Bond like James, Virginia like the state. And I work for Eric as a training specialist too. I never show my face. It's so weird to see my face. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. For those of you that are here live, you should be able to see that. Susan, can you see that? Oh, you got to talk to me now. You can't.
Yes, I can.
Okay,
I
thank
can
you.
see it. I have my code.
Thank you. All right, awesome. So I would show this video on slide 2, but really this is just for you, for life, for fun. If you've never seen that video, it's email in real life and about the weird things that we do with email that we don't do as humans, like, replying all and, replying all and replying all. This is like my biggest pet peeve with email is when people reply all, because it's very rare that I need to know what everyone else is doing. I only need to know my own problems. I have my own, right? And I don't need to know everybody else's. So that's just one of the things that drives me crazy, but that's okay. Learning objectives for today. Improve usage of Gmail, changing settings for that improved use, and then adding some tips to be more efficient. Hi, Kristen. Welcome. Yay. I always like more than one. It's awesome. I would prefer not to talk to you in French. That wouldn't be good. There's my chat. Here's a link, Kristen, for today's session. Awesome. So let's move on. So why did I pick hockey? I love hockey. This is the last week of hockey season, by the way. Regular season. Oh, I don't know. Might be last week and a half. I think after Easter or the week after Easter, we go into Stanley Cup playoffs. So, and then second season begins. I'm a huge hockey fan. As a matter of fact, my husband and I are going to Montreal on Friday night for the Saturday night game in Montreal against the Carolina Hurricanes. So to say I like hockey is an understatement. So first period, getting back to basics. So let's do some of the basics of Gmail in general. Now, the thing with me and Gmail, just so we all know, is that I use Gmail for personal email only. I'm going to pin my other mail out of the way because we are not allowed to use it at the RIC. A lot of that has to do with EdLaw 2D. And I say that and people are like, what do you mean it's not compliant? It is compliant, but because we have so many different venues coming in, like we deal with 146 school districts, it would be a little difficult to be able to keep those things all separate from each other. So that is why we still use Outlook. And it is still stored on a server and not in the cloud. So that's when I say people, we don't use it only because we have so many different streams of information. So let's do a little bit about basic vocabulary. And I'm going to just do it here and then we're going to go look at it. So the view, just like it sounds like, it's what we're going to look at. Now there are multiple ways to look at this. We can have it small, bigger, biggest. I mean, that is the simplicity. We also can do things like changing. So that's called density. We can change density and then we can also change the split. Like what kind of view do you want to see? What kind of reading pane do you want? Also, things like how many per page. That's a huge thing for me. Remember, anytime I do a training like this, I am always thinking towards efficiency, nothing else. That's my goal always, is I want to be the most efficient as possible because every time we gain a minute back of time during your school day, it's 1 minute less that you have to do during, after school. So those kind of things. Filters. What can we do with filters and what are filters? You come from a different world as in a Microsoft world. Filters are called rules. So can I write a rule that'll tell you to be able to make my email do something? We definitely want to be able to do that because I want Google to do what Google does best, and that is search and sort my email quicker. So that is one of the things we're going to look at. Labels. Labels equal folders in Google. In reality, there's no such thing as folders in your email, in your Gmail. There are, they just call them labels. I'm not sure why it's quite that weird, but that's just the way it is. And then the last thing is settings. We will do a lot of things in settings. I'm sorry, my husband just texted me and I have to send him back a message. So I can always change my settings, and that's going to help my life be a heck of a lot easier. So we'll do a lot of that today. All right, so first thing, let's go look at layout. So when I take the basics of layout, and when I say this is first period, it's very simple. The basic layout, I have a sidebar, which anytime I hover over, I can see what things are, right? Super easy. My email looks really, really good because it looks like I only have 2,200 emails. I did a training last week on Outlook, and I don't clean my email on a day that I have to do an email training. This kills me because I typically have a zero inbox, a zero unread inbox. So to have 22 sitting in here is kind of like the death of me. Trust me, this is not as good as it looks, okay? So I'll show you the ugly truth in a few minutes. So sidebar, left sidebar, I have a search bar. I think most people know how to use this. We're gonna learn how to use the advanced search bar because it makes things better. I have a settings space, kind of like your hair. Sorry, my laptop is in the way of that. I have a right toolbar, a right pane, a right side toolbar, which is basically all my apps and add-ons that I may have had. And then I have what's called the reading pane, which is here. So that is the basics of a layout. Pretty simple, right? Everybody's very used to those things. If you're starting with students, that's a good image. I always like to give people a really nice layout slide because I feel like they can be used with students pretty easily and you can practice with them where things are. So let's start in your reading pane, okay? So this is all about the splits. So when we start and do splits, where can I and how can I customize this to myself the way I want it? So I'm just going to get rid of a few windows here. So what am I looking at? I am looking for this little box right here underneath the settings wheel. And I'm going to click on it and you'll see I have three options. I can have no split, a vertical split, or a horizontal split. And honestly, that's exactly what it sounds like. So I currently have a no split. The next one is a vertical split. And you'll see it's like emails on the side and then I can read in the middle. So if I looked at this one right here, my email would come over here. All right, so that is a vertical split, splits in the middle, right? And the last one is a horizontal split. Emails will be read at the bottom. I don't like either one of those. So I am a no split girl. That's my personal preference. I like it because if I'm going to click into it, I'm actually probably going to read it. I'm going to open it up and I'm going to read it, right? Not everybody likes that. And I'm probably going to work my way through my emails like that. That's my own personal preference. I'm a no split. I kind of like to see as much as possible at a time. It does mean I need to use that back arrow, but that's what I'm comfortable with. Now, honestly, I'm going to open this up so you can see my Gmail. You'll notice in my Gmail, in my Outlook, I actually use a vertical split. Okay, so it is just preference for me. Part of that too is because I want to see them differently. Reason for that is because my brain needs to think a little differently each way. So I use Gmail one way, Outlook in another. It's a little crazy, I know, but hey, welcome to my world. I'm a little crazy. I got no problems with that. All right, the next thing in our first period is we want to talk about quick settings. There are a lot of quick settings. Hey, let's put that over the gear where it should be. Sorry, I made that picture bigger. I was telling Kristen, I was telling Susan that I had about 45 minutes to get ready for today's session. So listen, I'm kind of impressed that I got it done. So in quick settings, when I come into here, there's a few things that we can change and how to get to it. We're going to come here. we're just going to click on it once. And as soon as we click on it once, or today, when I click on it once, there we go. We have our quick settings will open up. So let's kind of talk through what's in here. So the first thing I have in here is, how dense are you? Sorry, and that is not meaning to be rude. It's just kind of like, if you don't have a little humor in these trainings, right? How dense can you take your email? So that is the closeness, right? It's how close your emails are to each other. So let's look at each one. I am defaulting, and that's because it will do this. It will show attachments, and it'll show the type of attachments that are attached. That's weird to say like that. Then you have comfortable, which they get a little closer together. But I don't see attachments except I see the little paper clip. All right. Or I see compact, which is like really tight together. So why is my preference default? I really like to see when something has an attachment to it. It's just a lot easier for me. I am not one that goes into shared with me because I absolutely hate that part of my Google Drive. So I won't go into that. And a lot of these things that you're seeing here are shared from other Google trainers. So I want to see them so I can open them up if I want to. I may not. So I am a default kind of girl. That's just, my personal preference. A lot of what you're see today is my personal preference. If your personal preference is different, hey, rock on, and that's good. Improve your view. So this is also a custom inbox of where we still are. It's just a little further down, right? It's in the inbox. So this is where things get real. And I get to show you what my mailbox really looks like. Because right now, as you saw, I had 22, I have 21 now because I clicked on Rick's email, okay? 21 unread emails. That's because I use this default view. If I use important first, this is going to be painful. I have 10,270 emails. I don't like that view. I mean, nobody likes that view because that is not 0 unread emails in my email box. Why are there so many? Because right now, there are only 2 different levels of sorting done by Google. Okay, so I don't really like that. That is like, yeah, no thank you, right? I don't like that. Which is, honestly, I don't get that many options in Outlook. I have focused in other. I couldn't live in this realm. I couldn't live in this world. It wouldn't work for me. Okay, so I don't like that one. Unread first. If I put unread first, I still have 10,000 unread emails. Sweet Jesus, that's a lot. I can't deal with that. Also, don't like that. Starred first. So still, you notice my number's not going down. Priority email, the priority inbox. So this would give me important and unread, starred, and everything else. You still see my number still stays the same. Multiple inboxes as if I was having multiple Gmails come in. I have probably 7 or 8 of my own Gmail accounts. I keep them as separate logins. I do not merge my accounts into a multiple email box. If I went in here, you would see what it looks like. I don't like that view, so I will not use it ever. And I also don't want to mess up my multiple email boxes because I don't like it. So let's go back to my default and I'll explain to you why I like it. In default, you see 21, right? So what my default email box is doing, it's sorting my emails for me. So I have primary. So these are anything they may have marked with a star or with a label that's very important, right? And you'll notice when I hover over that, it says it's important to Google Magic. I don't know, I kind of like that. Susan, I know you turned off your audio because you would have just giggled. I know it, right? It's Google Magic.
I did.
I know. So Google Magic is good, right? I like Google Magic. Straight up. I want Google to work for me, right? because I don't want to do all the work myself. Okay, so, and here, like this one's important because it matched one of my importance filters. So I've turned on a filter that anything you can book me is important. It comes to my primary mailbox. All right, that's first things. Next tab I have is promotions. You know, anything I've ever signed up for with this email comes in here. I would prefer if my efficient person didn't have to filter for all of that. So for example, when I'm looking through here and I know I need an Old Navy coupon, I know they sit in here. But if I don't want these, I can quickly do this. I can click that box. I can select all 2065 and I can tell it to delete them all. Okay, so now if I went back to my other views in my mailboxes and I said, yes, now I want to look at it. Could I do that in there? Oh, I absolutely could. Do I like this better? I sure do, because this will do it all in one foul swoop. I like that pre-sorting that this view is giving me. What are some of the other things? And this will take a little bit of time. They'll go. It will also pull all my social things together. So things like Twitter, LinkedIn, I have E Street Neighbor, which I have to get rid of because I moved off that street, right? So anything, and YouTube are all in here together. Again, I like this because it's pre-sorting for me. So I can just come in here and every once in a while I'll come in and I'll be like, yeah, it's time to clean this up. I'm going to leave that one there. I'm going to delete the rest because I haven't looked at my LinkedIn stuff in the last week. And now I only have 2 left. Okay. You can see for me, this is a huge view because I love that it's working for me. Updates. So this is anytime a software comes out with an update, my Google Scholar feeds into here. If I send any calendar links to myself, and I think I've turned those off, right? They will also come in here. Anytime I'm getting links to go to something, they come in here. So you can see, I also can, again, I can come in and I can just do the big clean, of which I'm going to do right now, except for those 2, I need those, and I'm going to delete. Can I just do a page at a time? I can. I typically will do a whole page at once because it's more efficient. Now my last one is forums. I have a ton in my forums. I have over 10,000 emails in my forums. Why do I have so many? This is where most of my email sits, by the way. This is where Google Innovator stuff, not Google Innovator, Google Trainer stuff all sits in here. So there's a lot of it. There's just a lot of stuff going on in here. I use this because I might be coming in to read through things, right? And so I'm constantly reading through some of these things and I'm using them for reference. So I don't really delete them. These are going away really soon because they're going to just be gone, and Frontline has decided, not Frontline, I read Frontline, my brain is on vacation. Google has decided that they're no longer going to use Gmail. Thank you, Jiminy's. And they've gone to a thing called a hub, which is going to be much better, I think. It's a lot to manage because it's another place to go, but I really do like it better. Anyway, so those are views. I personally really like the default view. Now, your district may let you do that. Your district may not let you do that. But anytime I can get Google to do more of my sorting for me, the better. I want it to do as much work as it can for me to be able to keep it clean. So the next thing, let's advance search to clean, okay? What does that mean? So let's do this. I am going to come in here. I would typically just search right there. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to click on the lines and I am going to look for you can book. I'm going to put it all as one word. You can book me. And it's going to find all my you can book me emails that I have in here, right? So lots. So I can do a big check and I'm going to uncheck that one. And I'm going to uncheck those 2 because anything else in here that's old, I don't need. So I can just delete the rest of them and keep those 4. So that's a great way to quickly search. So if you've taken any Google Drive trainings with me, you know that I love this advanced search. And the fields that I like the most are from, has the words, date, and has an attachment. You actually can look through your email just for attachments. You'll notice I am searching all my mail everywhere, and I'm just going to tell it to search. It'll find everything with attachments. Let's say I needed to search from a person. I could come in here and I could just type the email of a person and say from Cheska. I have no clue if she has sent me anything. I think she has. Oh, there it is. She has. There you go. So I have emails from her without me looking for them because I got no clue where they are. Honestly, I don't know where they are. And I did anytime it has an attachment and excludes my calendar updates. So honestly, I love that because it works fast. Let's use Google for what Google is good at. All right, too many emails. That 10,000 emails that I don't want, right? Search by date. Okay, older than 7 years can go. So retention for email across anywhere is 7 years. You don't need to keep things past 7 years. If you feel like you have an email that you need to keep, maybe due to, I'm going to say this, like litigation or student behavior or something on those lines, you could archive it. I don't really go into archiving here, but I'll show you what it looks like. If I go into an email, let's say this one right here, and I feel like this is really important and I want to archive it, I can click to move to, and I have options. My computer's like, you never archive. Why would you even want to do that? So it's kind of like, hey, really, what do I want to do with this one? It's like, no, you can't. I can archive right there. I always use the move to, but here's my archive. And we'll talk about archive in a couple minutes, what it looks like and where it is, because it's kind of like the hidden folder you can't ever find, but really does just sit there. All right, so junk can go. And what I was just doing by cleaning out my other tabs is cleaning out the junk. So think about that attendance that you have for the last 3 years. If you get attendance daily, multiple times a day, you can clean out attendance. Just throw it out. I am sure someone else has kept that. That does not seem like that is your job. The next one is a schedule send. All right, so let's just do this. We're going to send an email, and I'm honestly, I'm assuming that you all know the difference between a CC and a BCC and a reply all, so I'm not going into that. We're just going to put some letters on this. This is an email to myself. Okay, right? You like that one? Don't be a jerk, right? We get to send ourselves all kinds of emails. So I decide to send it, and I can schedule send it. I can come in here, I can click the schedule send, and I get to do these things. So, I mean, all kinds of things. Let me change this one for a minute. And let me change this to meet with Lee Oaks and do Schoology. Sometimes I do this. It's not often that I will tell myself, I'll give myself a to-do list. But sometimes it's a good idea, okay? So I'm going to do a schedule send, and I'm going to do the schedule send for tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. That's kind of perfect, right? So this will send me this. I just want that one. And so it is going to live in my scheduled. So it used to live in your draft or be in your outbox because it was going to go. They have created this new place that it goes into your scheduled. I really like that, especially if you want something to be at the top of somebody's email box instead of sending it at the end of the day. That's a great way to do it. Do I use it very often? No, I just don't. I just send it when it comes to mind because that's the way my brain works. And a lot of people use them more often. They want things to be at the top. They want things to be at the end of the day. But it is a great feature to just have. So that takes us to the end of the first period. Yay! And I am now ahead of Google because that's just the way it is. Power play, second period. Okay, second period, we're going in with a power play. And what we're going to do is we're going to master the full set of settings that we already have. So how do we get there? First thing we do is we come here, we're going to close this. We're going to come back to it in a few minutes, no worries. And you click on the gear and you'll see it says see all settings. Yep, that's where we're going. We're going to see all settings. It brings us directly into general, right? That's the first tab. And these are kind of hard to see, but you can see it's a blue instead of a black. I have asked Google to do a little bit of work on this only because I wish that was bold. And I know that seems so silly, but the older I get, the more I realize I need some different ways to see things. That is one of them. Okay. First things first. Change your conversation pages from 20 or 25 to 100. For the love of bajinkies, right? I don't even know how else to say that. I don't want to scroll through my pages. I'd rather just see 100 in a shot and just clean them, because that is just easier to see a whole pile. So if you make a change in your settings, you must save them at the bottom of the page. So if I change this to 50, you will notice it'll say save. If you don't scroll to the bottom and you don't save, they won't save. So this is a really weird thing with Google. Sometimes settings are just, you make changes, they automatically do it, right? This is not one of them. Gmail is one of the last pieces of Google that has not had a major update. Do I predict one is coming? Uh-huh. Do I know if it's coming? Uh-uh. Do I think it's coming? Mm-hmm. Right? And I do, because I just feel like that's going to be the next thing. They've done everything else except Gmail. So I just feel like this one's going to get an update real soon. Okay, the next one is the undo send, right? Undo send. Let's go back to my email. Go back to my inbox. And let's go into my drafts. Oh, maybe I didn't save it in my drafts. I have let's make one. We're going to send another email to myself. And this one is going to be the don't be a jerk. Okay. So let's say I'm having one of those days and I write that snarky email, or I write that email in general, right? It's not this one. And I go to send it. So you got to watch fast, because I only have a 5-second undo send on mine. And I send it and I get a pop-up box and I undo it and it comes right back to me. Can I change that amount of undo send? I sure can. You can go up to 30 seconds. I don't undo send very often. You know when I usually want to undo send? It's when I see that there's a spelling error and I'm like, oh, I forgot to attach the attachment. I can pull it back, but if you're not paying attention, it's going to go. And in Google, you have 5, 10, 20, and 30. That's it. No, when you undo send, it doesn't really send until after that time. It kind of sits in email purgatory. I don't know what else to call it. It's not really in the sent box. It's not really in the out box, because you don't have one of those. It's just like email purgatory. It sits there until it's time to go. And when it gets to the end of that time, it's gone. Okay. You're pulling it back from that purgatory spot. Sorry, that's a really weird term for that, but I don't know what else. Like the hinterland. I don't know what to call it. Right. So that email, that undo send, 30 seconds. And you do have to grab it right away. You can go backwards. Okay. The next one is the default behavior. Ooh, look at me and my English behavior. Your default behavior, reply versus reply all. Please change it to reply, not reply all. And I say this as a person who gets a lot of reply alls. I just can't. I love knowing that people are going to go to a meeting, but all I need to do is look at the calendar invite to know that. I don't need to get every notification that someone is going to the meeting. Right? I'll bring cake. I'll bring cookies. Okay, great. I'm glad you're coming. Thanks for letting me know. There are times to use reply and there's times to use reply all. There's very few times to use reply all. I honestly, if I want a reply all, I will request it in the body of the email. Please reply all. Okay, that's the only time I'll ever use it. Only time. I have it actually turned off, so my default will only give me the option for reply. I can get a reply all if I click on it, but it's the default is reply. Okay, Send an archive. Now, I also want to let you know that I have a few extra little things in my Google Gmail. As a trainer, I have some lab things they're trying out in beta. So you may see a few things that you don't have. That's okay. Send an archive. Do you want to send an archive button in reply? So as soon as it sends the email, do you want to archive it? That makes most people pretty darn nervous. I want to show that in my reply. I use it rarely because I don't have a lot of stuff I need to archive, and that's fine. I just don't need to look for, I don't have that many things I need to keep. But if you want that, that's an option for you. We're going to move down a little further. I'm not doing grammar and spelling and all those things because I feel like people know those. Let's talk about conversations though. Conversations, turning conversations on and turning conversations off. Do you want conversations together, which is on? Do you want conversations off? That is like, so that is, they would be separate. So here's how it works. You turn them on, all the emails that I get from Susan Bright all come together and they all link together in one email. I personally love that because I know to open the email and click when there's a number. I think when you give above 4, you start to get a number and it'll say 5, it'll say 6, it'll say 7. I know to click in the email and to click on those. If I'm not good at that, or I lose that, or I don't respond fast enough, like maybe if you're responding only in the morning and the afternoon, you're not good at that, you're going to want to keep that off. But that does make your email count go up. So like Susan's first reply, mine, somebody else's, they build in your email, which is why I like them grouped all together. And I use this example. I have 3 Michelle Baileys and 4 Karen Whites in my region. Okay. 2 of my Michelle Baileys both work in Malone, one at Malone and one at FEH BOCES. So because of that, I want them to be grouped together because if they email me separately, I don't want to make an assumption I know which one is which. My Karen Whites are just crazy. They're all over the place. So I want those emails to kind of come together. So I keep conversations on, but I know how to handle them. So kind of think of it that way. Like it would keep all your emails from your kids kind of turned on together. Just depends on what you want. It looks for the person it's from and the subject line, so they will stay together. Nudges. So I don't know if most people are using nudges. I really like them. So nudges are like, they've been a beta thing, but now I think they're more rapidly or more rampantly available. You like that term, rampant? That's probably not a good word. You should use Virginia, rampant. They're more readily available, and it was an R word, to other people. And a nudge is when you've read an email and you mark it that you want to do something with it, but you don't get back to it. And it will actually pull it back up to the top and be like, hello, you need some help with this. We want to help you out. Don't forget this email sitting down here. I love nudges, so I have it turned on. Because I may forget to do that. I wish my regular email, my Outlook would do that. It does not have that option. Some of the other things that I think you can actually track packages in there, by the way. This is my personal email account. I don't think you can do that with a work email account. My next one is signatures. Okay, nothing makes Virginia a little grumpier than someone not having a signature line. Again, let me go back to my 4 Karen Whites. If I don't know what building you're in, I can't call you. And as stupid as that sounds, if it just says Cohoes, and then I have to go look it up and see what building Cohoes is, right? It's not like Middleburg, right? It's not like Malone. I know those districts, but please, right? What should a signature line have? It should have your name, your title, your email, and what another really good thing to have in there is your best time to contact. Best time to reach me is, right? Even if it's after school, that's a great way to have it in there. Simple. You will notice in my signature line, if I scroll down just a little bit, you will notice you can book an appointment. I have an appointment calendar in mine. And then I actually have my tag, my credentials in that as well. And they are just added as a picture. So if you have any of these micro credentials, you can put those in as well. Can I create a new one? I sure can. So this is me. I'm going to make a reply. Okay. I'm just going to make a reply one. And this one is just going to say Virginia KVB, and I'm just gonna save it. Okay, that's it. So you can have a regular one and a reply one. You can have one to parents, you can have one to administration, you can have one to students. Think about that. It's an easy way to do it, right? And they're not hard to change. Okay, so for new email use, I am having my signature default on my email one, right? On reply forward use, I'm going to change that to reply. So now I have 2 lines. It's very easy. So if I reply, it will always just put out a Virginia KVB. And I can change it if I want to. You also have a vacation responder here. Feel free to put it on, right? I'm going to put mine on for the month of May. I'm not taking the entire month off, but I am taking a few days off because my daughter is getting married on June 1st. I don't know. People are like, oh, that's so exciting. And I'm like, is it? It's okay. I am not going to turn it on now, but I'm going to keep that on right there. This will be my last day. The 3rd will be my last day. I'm going to leave it on my first day is this one right there. So that I have it on. I don't want my vacation responder on until I'm ready to go, but I can put the dates in ahead of time. I could put text in here if I want to. I don't need that right now. So because I made a change on my general, I have to save it. You will notice it will then, it's going to kick me back out. If I want to do more in settings, I have to go back in, and we do want to do a little bit more in settings. The next thing we want to look at is labels. So here are labels. You will see that I have lots of labels, lots and lots and lots of labels. These are the labels that come default within Gmail. These are the labels. Those are the categories for my email boxes, which are fine. And then these are the labels that I've created. You may not have any of these, so you might just see this create label. So you will see where my emails sit, right? You can see how they're divided up. And a label works that when it comes in, I've given it a job. So I'm going to create a new label. And I'm going to just create one in here called attendance. I don't know if I have any other attendance. So I'm just going to write in here. I'm not going to nest it under anything. That's when I kind of want to have things kind of working together. I don't do a lot of nesting because that just gets messy. So I just leave it alone. I'm going to create it. All done. Those are labels. Think of things that you want to use all the time. First period, second period, third period, fourth period. Oh, can you actually do that? Sure can. As administrators, they can put on buildings. Teachers could put on classes. They could put on committees. They could put on attendance. Anything that you would like to mark when it comes in, create it as a label, or you want to add a label to as you go. You can also have a year label. So this would be 23-24. So you can create a label right here and make a 23-24 label, right? Just leave it. We'll leave it there. We'll come back to that in a minute. Now, if I move my way across, the next one I want to look at is filters. Remember I said that filters are actually rules. So when we come in here, we're going to look at a rule. So you'll see in here, here are the filters that I have already set. Anything that matches the word Google, I'm going to apply the label Google to it. Oh, that's pretty easy. Anything that matches these email addresses, which are all the email addresses that I use, my gosh, I have a problem. I want it to be starred, okay? These are my daughters, anything from my daughter, this email, so that's her old one, she was in high school, this is the one when she was at college, this is her work email now. I wanted to do this. You'll notice I have no do this. So I'm gonna edit it, and I am going to continue, because I'm going to create a label for it. This should say create a label. And what am I going to do it? I'm going to star it, and I'm going to choose it a label. I'm going to mark it Becca, and you will see that I have none, right? None. So I'm just going to update the filter. So now if anything comes in from Becca, it will come in. I also have emails from people that have tried to scam me. So you'll see I have deleted, never mark it as important. So there's certain things you can do in there. Okay, so here, right here, this is my car payment, right? I'm being brutally honest. So when it comes in, never send it to spam, mark it as important, and categorize it as primary, as it's going to go into my regular email box. Okay, so how do I do these? So I'm going to go back up down here. I'm going to go down. I lied to you. We're going to go click this again because we want to make our own. All right, so we're going to refresh that page. That's hard to say. I'm going to have that pop up. I'm going to go back in and I am going to create a filter. Okay, these are all my filters that are coming in. So I'm trying to find my create a new filter. There it is. Create a new filter. By the way, you can also block emails as they come in, right? So if someone tries to email you and you don't want it, you can block the email. All right, so here, I'm going to create a new filter. And you remember I made an attendance? I don't know who it's from. I don't know who it's to. I don't know the subject, but it has the words attendance in it. Oh, it would have the word attendance if I could spell the word attendance. There you go. All right, and I'm going to create that filter. So I wanted to skip it. I could archive it automatically, could mark it as red. Oh, that's a winner chicken dinner. I can choose to give it a label. I'm going to mark it attendance. I'm also going to choose it to be labeled 2324. Oh, you can only do one now. They used to be able to do two. I don't want to forward it. I don't want to delete it. I never want to send it to spam. I now can choose a template. It's never important. I'm never going to mark it as important. It's never going to go into any of my categories, but I'm also going to apply to the 3 matching conversations. So what does that mean? That last line there. So if you have anything that matches this, it's going to find them in your email and it's going to apply that filter and that label to it because it's going to give it a label. So now when I come back to my email and I look for anything that has attendance label, there they are. Lucky me, right? How easy is that? You got to be like, I love that because that's simple work. I don't want to do this big work. Nobody wants to do that big work of sorting our emails. So you can see some of the things that I have in here. Book me, Google, Google, Google. So what's happening is that my email is doing work for me. So we're going to send an email from my Outlook email. What does labeling look, labels look like, right? I'm going to send this as a real quick one, just like that. We're going to send it. It's going to go to my email. This should ping it in just a minute. And I'm going to do it right there. It is. So as soon as it came in, it got NARIC KVB. That's me. It's got NARIC work related. And it's googly. I don't really know why. Who knows why? Oh, because my email is Gmail on it. That's why. So I love that because it's doing the work for me, right? It's labeling, it's telling me kind of what I needed to do. Again, this is Google doing work for me because I'm too lazy to do that work. I'm not lazy. I just want it done by someone else. So we've done filters and rules. So build those rules for yourself. And I went through the like building the filters as you can. Okay, 3rd period. Woohoo! We're getting there. And I've got only a few minutes left. Of course I do. I told you I wouldn't be done fast, Susan. Okay, next thing. Okay, archiving. Okay, so this gets scary for people. Think about archiving. If you're done reading it and you really need to keep it, put a label on it. So if I'm reading an email that looks like this, right? And I don't have my labels coming in, but I want to put a label on it, right? If I come in here and I'm like, I want a label, I'm going to put it on here like important enough to keep. So now it has all of these labels, which a label will literally throw it over here in a folder. It's the equivalent of a folder. It's not really a folder. It's a label, but it functions as a folder. You get it. I know you get it. The difference between a folder and a label is a folder, I can only put one piece of paper in one place. With a label, I can have multiple labels on it so I can cross-reference it in many places. So think about it like that. That will help your brain kind of rectify that in your brain. Do I really need to keep this, right? This one is a no, I'm just going to throw it out. But maybe I really need to keep this one. And I want to just say, okay, I'm just going to click the archive button. So think about those things you really might want to keep and archive them. I always like to say to teachers at the end of the school year, take some time that last week of school in like 20-minute chunks and go through your email and get rid of all the correspondence from Google Classroom or anything else like that that you really don't need. Throw it out because you do not need to keep everything. And that will really clean things up. And you just get rid of them. What you really feel like you need to keep, put a label on it for that year and then archive it. Out of sight, out of mind. Can you find things that are archived? Okay, remember I archived my booked from Rick. Okay, there's the booking. I pulled it back out. It's in my archive. I just pulled it back out, right? It's not that hard to do. Oh, maybe I didn't. I did something else that I, so let's look in, and instead of all my mail, we just look in. I never go to archived ever. I just always search everywhere. So I'm going to say everything from Rick Arquette. I can't even say that name. Arquette. I think that will do it. Let's see what happens. Maybe I can't spell his name right. No, I have one, right? So I can go through and I can find all those things. You just have to search. I promise it's not that scary. But really think about that. You can get to that point, your life can be really simple because you can really clean it up pretty easily. So that's number one. And just think about that archive folder as a filing cabinet around the corner. Nothing scary. Okay, train your email to spam or junk it. So when I'm in my email, and if I come into this, like the updates. So if I'm in here and I'm like, how in the world did I get a Times Union? I don't need this. I love the Albany area, but that is not anything I need. So because of that, what I am going to do is I am going to move this to my spam folder because I don't need that, right? I don't know how I got to it. I'm going to unsubscribe from it. So it's going to stop coming to me. Learning to do that, to start cleaning it up as you go. And I'm offended by my AARP, right? Can I make that spam? I really shouldn't be offended by that because I do fall into that age frame, right? But things that you want to get rid of them. We just tend not to do that because it gets in the way too much. So we just kind of move around them, but just take some time and do that. I promise you that will really make your life much easier. Sorry, I hit the wrong email. All right, so using two accounts, as in you have two different Google accounts, like a personal account and a work account, make sure you color code them and color code them differently. So the easiest way to do that is to go into your quick settings and go to themes. I skipped this before on purpose. And all you have to do is just click one like this and you change the color view. So I have a Salmon River account that I use in Gmail because that's what they use. And I use their color for their school is green. So I just use green. Anything that's green is perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. And you'll see there's lots of things in here. Right? I think they're grass. They might actually have a shamrock one that I use for them, or I might use this one, right? It doesn't matter. Just something. And honestly, when it's in the summer, I always put it on the beach. And when it's in the summer and it's too hot, I make it the snow. I'm a little weird, but I like to look at it and at least feel like I'm cooling off in some way, but hey, you know, whatever. So use colors that will help you. Let's talk about the sidebar. Okay, so your sidebar add-ons, what are they? You have a calendar. Obviously, we'll open up a sidebar calendar so that I can very quickly schedule things over here that makes life easier. I am sure this is telling me that I have to do blood work to go to the doctor. So I have to go in and find that, and I can add that into my calendar wherever that is. So that's calendar. The other one over here is Google Keep. Now, if you've never used Google Keep before, Google Keep, there's my headshot, just in case you all needed to see that. Google Keep is what I use to do organization. So it's got lots of pictures and things in it. And Google Keep is like note-taking. It is Post-its on steroids, one of my favorite tools within Google, and is totally underutilized. So that is a tool that is linked right into your Google account, into your mail. Simple to use. You also have tasks. I am not a huge user of the tasks, basically because I use everything else except this. Like this one, drop off my BBots. I knew I had to do it. I already did it, right? I need to check it off that it's done. I just didn't do that. I also don't need this. This is garbage. Make that go away. I don't know what this is. But if you're in your email and you like this, it's simple. You can just pull your tasks right over without any problem. Oh, sorry, I was going to go through the rest of those. Tasks, contacts. If you want to clean up your contacts, you can in here. I obviously, mine are there. I don't have a ton in here. I only keep a few in here that I actually need because I do keep most of my contacts within my Outlook. And then down here will be any of the add-ons. So I have Zoom for Gmail that I've added in. I also have Yam, which is an add-on that I've used. I also have over there, I believe, Zoom, which I have in there, and then Google Earth as well. So I cut off, oh no, that's a WebEx. I cut those off just so I can make that fit on the slide deck. So anything above, these four are normal. Anything below you will have added on there. So last thing, don't forget, I lied. There's two things. Don't forget that you can mark as read. All right. So like this thing right here, if you click in it, you can go through and you can do that. You can also do this. If I go into social, let's go into updates and click all of those like that big click, and then mark as read, right? Read. They all get unmarked, right? I want to select them all and mark as read. All. I want all mark as read. Why will that not let me do that? It should let me, it's just not letting me. I don't know what hates me right now. I just did this a little bit ago. So let's say I do these three. Let me do three. Maybe it doesn't like to do that red. I want to do red. I want to read them. I want to mark as read. All right, I hate you too right now. Some days are just like that. Let me see. What have I got here? Mark as unread. I never want to mark anything as unread. Sweet Jiminy Crickets. I want to mark. Let's do it that way. I might have clicked the wrong space. Mark is read. There we go. And then they'll all come through. This takes a little bit of time, but they'll all come through. And then you don't have to worry about being like, yeah, I know, I got to read them. If you're really not into throwing out email, that's okay. Some people aren't really into throwing out email, and I understand that. I am totally for throwing out email. All right, and my last slide that I have in here is really to delete a lot at a time. The same way you just watched me do that multiple times, because that will really save you a lot of time. Okay, so that is slide 31 of the deck. I want to just show you what I have at the end, even though we're almost done. Time for questions. I have a contact slide, and then I have down at the bottom from slide 34 down to I think like 53. These are all like beginner slides. And what I mean by that is like, these are like reference slides in case you have questions that I didn't cover. And they're kind of what I call the like beginning skills of Gmail. So if you need those, you have those right there. You will get all these when I email you these. Also understand, I think those slides are a little old, as in I didn't totally update them. So they're there, they're kind of like a reference, and things will be close to there, if not exactly there. I hope that was helpful. Do you have any questions before I'm done? Awesome. So I will mark attendance complete tomorrow, probably. It'll take that time. And I'm hoping in my good world of I can get stuff done to get that all done and be able to send it all out tomorrow. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Virginia.
You're welcome.
Have a great Easter. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you too.
I'll see you tomorrow, actually.
Oh yeah, see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.